You just wait. Have you ever heard that you're taller in the morning than at night? This may seem pretty crazy to believe, but in fact it is true. You probably don't feel taller in the morning, but according to an article by the Underground Health Reporter, you may have actually grown up to a whole inch. In order to understand why, we must look at the vertebral column. I'm Anna, and I'm currently a student in an anatomy class, and I found the vertebral column to be super interesting. I have had the opportunity to learn about the vertebral column in depth and have even gotten to look at it on real cadavers. The vertebral column is literally the backbone of your body and has numerous functions. It is comprised of different types of vertebrae, which can be identified by location and structure. To begin with, the vertebral column is the main framework or trunk of the body. According to an online article from Teach Me Anatomy, the main functions of the vertebral column are to protect the spinal cord, support the weight of the body, and also function in movement and posture. The vertebral column consists of a total of 33 vertebrae. These vertebrae are arranged in 5 different regions. Inferiorly to superiorly, they go from cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, and coccygeal. Another important thing to note about the basic structure of the column is the intervertebral discs. These intervertebral discs function in supporting the area between the bones. According to an article found on Healthline, these discs act as shock absorbers between each vertebrae. They also protect the nerves from the spine. These discs are made of fibrocartilaginous material, providing plenty of cushion between the bones. Now that we have more knowledge about the different types of vertebrae and how it all comes together, let's take a closer look at the cervical vertebrae. The 5 different types of vertebrae can be identified by the structure and location. So let's begin at the top with the cervical vertebrae. The cervical vertebrae are typically small and delicate compared to the rest of the body. C1 and C2 are called the atlas and the axis. A helpful way to remember the function of the atlas is to look at Greek mythology. According to Greek mythology, Atlas was a man who was burdened with carrying the world on top of his shoulders. This is similar to the cervical atlas because the neck supports and carries the weight of the head. The axis is C2 of the cervical vertebrae and articulates with the axis by a unique process called the dens, which protrudes superiorly from the axis. Some basic structures of the cervical vertebrae include the body, the superior articular fauces, the spinous process, the vertebral foramen, and the foramen transversarium. Other helpful ways to identify cervical vertebrae is to look at it from the side, and it looks like an anteater. The thoracic vertebrae make up the next section. These full vertebrae function in connecting to the ribs. They have similar structures as the cervical vertebrae, such as the body, the spinous process, the superior articular fossa, and the vertebral foramen. One helpful way to distinguish these from the others is by their costal facets, which connect to the ribs. And this can be identified easily laterally by the shape of a giraffe. Okay, so the next vertebrae are the thoracic, or the lumbar. These are typically larger than the thoracic and the cervical, and they carry most of the body's weight and also support inflexibility. These vertebrae have similar structures to the cervical vertebrae, but are much larger in size. A helpful way to identify these is from the side it looks like a moose. The sacrum and the coccyx make up the next section. The sacrum is 5 fused vertebrae, and the coccyx, which is not on here, is 4 fused vertebrae. And the main structures on this is the body, the ala, and the sacral foramina. So to sum up, today we learned that our bodies consist of a vital structure called the vertebral column, which has a variety of functions. The 5 different vertebrae can be recognized by various structures. So now that you know a little bit more about the vertebral column, hopefully you can envision why you're taller when you wake up in the morning. If you've not caught on yet, it's because overnight the intervertebral discs between each vertebrae, right here, have time to relax and expand, therefore making you grow up to a whole inch overnight. Whereas at night, when you're about to go to bed, you would most likely be shorter due to all the support and stress that is put on your vertebrae, which compress and push down on your discs throughout the day. So next time you wake up in the morning feeling a little taller, you now know why.